Hi everybody, welcome back to Writer's Underworld with myself, Richard Rose. Today's lesson is intelligence. It sounds like a stupid lesson, but it's actually quite smart to be intelligent. I cannot really teach anybody anything about intelligence as I'm still learning myself. But I do remember that when I was starting out and I was thinking about all these authors, and I was not an author, and I was like, well, something they all had in common is it seemed like they're pretty smart. And I was like, well, it's probably important that I also be, pretty smart. And so I started learning everything I could, from everything. I used to read books. I used to read like textbooks and things. I flunked out of school, so take everything with a grain of salt here. But it does have something to do with writing fiction, and it's got a lot to do with writing fiction. And you'll notice, writers in general are intelligent by nature. So, but there are a couple ways that it will play into your writing. For one thing, you got to be more intelligent than your reader, which is not always possible. It's a bitter pill to swallow that sometimes your reader is going to know that you're dumb. But as long as you're smarter than most of your readers, then you're doing pretty good, I would say. And the other thing is, the more brain power you have, the more you can anticipate and correct mistakes. And a lot of the times, I have found the problem with writing novels is they're very intricate. I think even simple novels are intricate, and then complicated novels are unbelievably intricate. And it's intelligence that allows us to navigate these intricacies. And I have gotten to places in my writing where I have found my intelligence wanting. My capability was not there to solve the problem I had created for myself. So I was too dumb not to create a problem for myself, and then I was too dumb to write myself out of the problem. But I came up with a solution for this, and because you're watching my channel, I will give you my solution. And it's just to quit taking things so serious. And remember that we're doing entertainment. And there's a secret that I've noticed, even with the most intelligent books. Even with the most intelligent books, they're creating a fictional world. It's still fiction. And under scrutiny, it will dissolve. You cannot scrutinize any fictional world. It's impossible. Does that mean we should not make fictional worlds? No. It's just, and the best fictional worlds are created by obviously incredibly intelligent people. But that ain't me, I'm kind of, what are we? I'm a swamp Yankee is what they call us. I'm from a swamp in New England. I don't know that much about much, And so, and that's kind of maybe why they used to use academics to write books. But it turns out academics are really boring. So what's the trade-off? You want an entertaining dumb guy, or do you want a boring intelligent guy? Well, find a happy medium. And so the trick that I will tell you as your reward for watching my videos is to stop taking things so seriously. And the way you can do this is to be just a little more cartoonish. When you're getting into a corner, we're all aiming for realism, But like I said, it's impossible to do realism at a finite level. It will break down. So I would think, and then in my mind, the opposite of realism is cartoonishness. And so even the most realistic novelists are doing cartoonishness at the macro level. You know, when you really zoom in on the most realistic fiction, it's still cartoonish in nature. So, you know, quit taking it so seriously, because it's a fool's errand no matter what. So if you just step back a little and say, well, all right, I wrote myself into a corner, or all right, I want something cool to happen and there's not really anything going on, or I really can't make this scene work because, you know, logic and reason, you can just be a little more cartoonish, use your imagination, tweak it in such a way to make it more like, oh, wow, yeah. And doing this has made some of the best moments in my books. I can think of the end of one of them, probably the most realistic thing I ever wrote. I did realism all the way through as much as I possibly could. And then at the end, I could have done a realistic end, or I could have done something a little bit cartoonish, but it made the end go pop, whiz, bang, zing, zang. And it was, you know, that decision to make things more cartoonish was what, you know, it was the cherry on the top of the novel. It was the finality. It made it just so much better. But cartoonishness is dumb, and people will probably get on your case and be like, this is, you know, kind of dumb. But it's what makes the book work, and you can do realism the rest of the time, and it's just... it comes up when you write yourself into a corner. But that's not the topic of the novel. The topic of the novel is intelligence, and I'm not going to tell anybody how to increase intelligence. I'm just trying to accentuate the point that it is important to be intelligent. More intelligent than your reader. As intelligent as you could possibly humanly be. Intelligent enough to create your novel. And I mean, I always read a lot of nonfiction, you know, for this purpose. Just information, you know, knowledge is power, especially in what we're trying to do here, creating novels. And so I'm not here to tell you how to become intelligent. You know, 50% of you are more intelligent than I am anyways. And the other 50% of you, God help you. But, I mean, it's just nonfiction for me. Was reading a ton of nonfiction, studying history, you know, was very helpful. Studying science was very helpful. Just things like that. Popular culture, unpopular culture, sociology, psychology, you know, these are good things to know that will help you, you know, create your world and your characters and all these things. And it's just important, because that's what we're doing here, is we're writing novels, and novelists are supposed to be intelligent. And so don't brush it off. You know, it's easy to just think, why is this guy telling me about intelligence? This guy's so dumb. But, you know, I'm not saying it for no reason. It's an important thing, especially if you're young, you know. For people that are my age and older, well, you can kind of forget about it. We're probably not going to get much smarter than we already are. It's been my experience that, you know, older people kind of become a little bit dumber. And they'll tell you the opposite. They'll tell you that they're wise beyond their years. You know, they'll be 80 years old, being like, thinking they have the wisdom of a 400-year-old wizard. But really, they're kind of reverting to childishness. So the best time to you know, increase your brain power is when you still have your youth. Second best time is now, I guess. And it's just something we all have to do. It's an important thing, and so that's why I made this lesson about intelligence. And it seems arbitrary. It seems besides the point. But it's not. It's important. So that's the lesson. always be becoming more intelligent and outsmarting your reader as much as possible. You don't have to know you only got to know more than your reader. So, you know, that's to me, that's always been my idea of the goal, is I just got it. Because I wanted to know more than everybody. I was like, this is not going to happen. But you do need to know, and only about what's happening. You just got to, like, it comes up over and over again, because everything you're writing about is, a lot of us, we're not writing what we know, we're writing what we don't know. And so we're trying to figure it out. And you're not ever going to know more about the excerpts. You only need to know more than somebody who doesn't know anything, which is actually pretty easy. That's it. Thanks for checking out Writer's Underworld. Please like, comment, subscribe, share. Trying to make better books for a better world. Deuces.